Clear. Hey, there it goes. There's something on now.
Anyone within range of my voice, please type what the witch doctor told me to do.
Watching those dumb idiots spend 4 days in the box that came in.
That's me talking about dumb idiots. Was idiot
Talking about cups?
Was idiot a medical term?
Drinking out.
Drinking out of cups.
Drinking out of cups.
Okay, so we can get back to
I don't know.
small blip there. I think
That's right.
the mob crush piece. I don't think it was on this end actually.
Oh, okay. That's fun.
So so we got to Gen Con.
Woo!
As far as RPG things go, I went to the Fantasy Flight In-Flight where they announced a Genesis player's guide coming out.
Oh, nice.
Along with the GM screen, like a Genesis GM screen.
Nice.
So
What's on the front of it?
like
What's the art?
Ooh.
Because Genesis is just kind of like a general system, right?
Mm-hmm. Is that Wednesday evening or was that Thursday?
Wednesday evening.
Oh, okay.
What did we do Wednesday evening?
We just
Punch
got there
Bowl
pretty late.
Social.
Yeah, we just
Yeah,
social.
we went and got
Dinner.
boozy. We went, actually, I did not get a boozy.
But they were out of
milkshake.
candied bacon.
They were out of candy bacon.
I
It was-
remember.
here it is.
Oh, it's some kind of like island floating.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, it's kind of, yeah.
I like it. How many moons are there?
Too many.
I don't know if that's a moon or a planet.
Oh, yeah.
That's
no
moon.
Planets being that close together can't be good for
Oh
the
my gosh,
tides.
I saw one of those
Not
memes
good.
that's like, what is this, wrong answers only? And it was the Death Star, and someone was like, moon.
Nice.
Anti-jokes are the best jokes.
That's pretty funny.
What did everyone else do? Or did you have more to talk about?
No, that was just Wednesday. I just mentioned it because it was RPG related. I
Nice.
think the next big bit is we moved to Thursdays when people started playing games.
Heck yeah.
So I played something Thursday night while you guys look up and
Thursday
remember what you
night.
played.
Yeah, we
I
played.
find-
Brides and bribes.
Okay, go ahead, talk.
So this year we did not. This was our first year not really getting everything we wanted
Oh my god.
in terms of events. That did turn out to be, I think, a blessing. Our first event was so we like to play. We like to go to the learn a board game sessions.
Yeah.
So then you don't have to spend 20 minutes reading a rule book. Someone
right.
just teach you. It's so nice.
In theory, it's nice.
Oh,
It's
yes.
very worth it. It's very worth it in theory to spend $2 to $4 to maybe even $6 to have someone teach you a game in a concise manner.
That being said, our teacher didn't know the game.
Which is like the second time this has happened.
The second time
Definitely.
this has happened to us.
But you know what? It was fine. And he knew it enough that it got us going. And then
That's debatable.
That's true. There were multiple times that, when you learn a game and you misinterpret a rule, so someone does something, then they have to take it back, and then they're frustrated because like their turn was
Wasted.
completely wasted.
Yeah.
That happened to a couple of the players because rules weren't explained correctly, and they got
Yep.
it was a
Play to win.
play to win. So a couple people were frustrated, but we still had a good time. We learned together.
Yeah. It wasn't quite as expensive as the whole Thornwatch debacle.
Oh my
so
gosh.
I wasn't quite as upset when, some of my moves were wasted and I didn't like one person just kind of ran away with the game, and that's fine. We were still kind of having fun. So it was
Side note,
it was a good time.
Fun thing about Brides and Bribes, there are families that you play as, and they all have different abilities. And there's one family that's like all assassins, and I somehow got that one.
Yeah.
And it forces you to be aggressive to other players, which is something that I don't think many board games we play makes us do. So it was interesting to have a game where it was like you need
Yeah.
to screw over other players.
Yeah, most of the games we play are sort of like, just try to do well on your own.
Yeah,
and-
build a good engine by yourself and don't be
Yeah.
mean. It was my Star. Wait, no, what is the game? No. Who's the Protoss and those are
Oh,
Thor?
StarCraft.
StarCraft. Yeah, I just made a lot of photon cannons
Photon
and didn't let
cannons.
anyone near me. I was like, no.
Side note, we didn't do an introduction like our names and stuff, so we need to do that now so I can edit it back in later.
Cool.
Oh, got it.
Should we clap so you know where it is?
What does that help?
So you see a
It's a
spike,
spike
and you
on
know
the
where to find
audio.
it. Cool.
See, now there's a lot of spikes, and
Right.
I don't know if it's just us talking.
Well, now
Yeah.
you know where. If there's lots of spikes, then go to
Yeah,
go
go
there.
to there.
Hi, I'm one of your hosts. My name's Chris Renshaw.
How's it going, everybody? I'm Philip.
And I'm Chris Nickel.
And I'm Corey.
And I am Jimmy.
There we go. Now we can get back to Thursday.
That was
I like
that
no
was
one else said I'm one of the hosts. I'm just a random guy.
The rest of us are in denial.
I drove here.
I'm a big boy now.
That's it. Brads and Brabs was really fun. I'd like to play it again.
Chris let me out of the basement.
You're
Okay.
we let you
Sorry.
out of the basement, and
You're
now
so
you're
lucky.
in the basement.
Oh.
It was the attic.
Attic.
The attic to the
What
basement.
did you do, Chris?
This is what? Thursday?
Thursday.
Thirsty.
Yeah.
So Sandra and I went and we played the Dresden Files game.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Is it
so
an RPG?
It is an RPG, and that's one that we had. So both of us are big fans of the book series, so we wanted to give it a shot. And
That's the one based on Fate, right?
It is. Yep. It's fate based game, and it has actually some pretty good rule books and whatnot. Like they're really written well. But we had no idea how to play it, so we ended up getting a DM who really loved the setting and really loved the game,
Yeah.
and he sold it really well.
Noise.
So much to the point where I immediately went out and ended up buying it. So, Sandra and I had a blast playing that. I learned that I played as a werewolf, like a teenage rock werewolf.
Yes, CW.
Yep. And I learned very quickly that werewolf is not a tank. Werewolf is a rogue. So almost died in the first encounter.
Oh no!
Interesting.
Whoops.
Why is
Yeah.
a werewolf a rogue?
Because apparently I take wounds pretty easily, but I can dish it out.
Okay.
But when I get ganged up on by a bunch of ghouls, it hurts.
The glass
Interesting.
cannon.
So I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
If you were playing a teenager, did that make you a teenage dirtbag?
I guess technically.
Yeah. Okay, I see what you did there. Yeah.
That's a good song.
Oh, okay.
When I sing that at karaoke now, I feel like a fraud because I'm no longer a
No
teenager.
longer a teenager. Yeah.
You haven't been a teenager for a while.
Don't tell me I'm old. Oh God!
You never talk about a woman's age. What's wrong with
You
you?
can talk about my age. It's fine. I'm just gonna die. It's cool. Okay, so you said we were gonna run this game for us at some point.
Yeah, I think so. So one of the reasons why we wanted to look into it is Sandra, last Gen Con that we were at, which was 2 years ago, we bought the Fate Accelerated version of the
Gotcha.
Dresden Files, and we hadn't gotten around to playing that. We went to this thing thinking that we were going to learn how to play that one, but it turned out this was not the Accelerated. This was the normal thing, and we really liked it. So I think we'll probably try to put together something.
I
for
just
that.
realized Chris is the only one that didn't play in the Fate game that we did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had played Fate once before.
I'm just saying the one we did long time ago. I think it was like our second.
Nocteria.
Yeah.
I was also a werewolf,
Yeah.
Oh, were you really?
but I was very scared of everything.
Odd place for a werewolf to be.
Was it still a Fate game or?
Yeah, so we used the Fate die,
Yeah,
and it was
okay.
the same mechanic on how that stuff went together.
It's just a flavored version of Fate.
Yeah.
So, do they come with modules that already give you a mystery, or are you writing your own mysteries?
So I think the guy who ran it for us ran something that he had run in the past. I don't think it came out of the book.
Gotcha.
The thing that I really like about the book is that we like the books and the story, and
Yeah.
basically the book is set up so that the Dresden Files, the main character is Harry Dresden, right? And he's a wizard in the phone book, and he has like Billy, I think, is the name of the werewolf kid, and he runs a D&D game. And basically, Billy said, "Hey, I want to make a game." And so the core, the rule book, when you open it up and you look through it, it's got all the basic rules, and in the margins, it's got notes from Dresden in it saying like, "Yeah, I don't think people are going to like this part, and you might want to consider that." So just reading through the book, I was like, "Yeah, I'm going to buy this just to read it,
Nice.
if nothing else." Yeah. So we really liked it, so we jumped on that one pretty hard.
Do you guys think that someone's done a cover of Pinball Wizard but with Phone Book Wizard?
I don't know.
They are now.
The internet is full of all sorts of oddities.
Yes.
Well, I played, speaking of things that I know a lot of lore and stuff about, I played the DC Adventures game, which is basically a DC comic skinning of mutants and masterminds from Green Ronin, which is itself basically a skinned version of D&D 3rd edition with like a bunch of modifications. The really cool thing about this game is, unlike most themed RPGs that are set in a thing, whereas you don't play as like your favorite characters, you make a character that's in that. Like for like a Marvel or another thing, like, oh, you're playing as some other superhero that you're making. No, you can make your own characters, but this book has like stats for your favorite characters too, so you
Nice.
can actually play as like Batman and Superman. We didn't, but
That sucks.
so the person that ran our game was someone that like knew way more than I did. So
Impressive.
and also like his knowledge was basically centered around like the 90s,
Okay.
which I know mostly because of Wikipedia reading.
Gotcha.
And from some TV shows. And so like the thing was set during a time period in there, and like everybody's excited because there's all these characters. Like it's Nightwing when he's in his like yellow and blue jumpsuit.
Gotcha.
And he had all these characters, and it was basically all these auxiliary Batman people. Like there was the Tim Drake Robin and Nightwing and Ragman and Spoiler.
What is
and,
Ragman?
Spoiler?
Yeah,
There's a guy named Spoiler?
it's a girl named Spoiler.
Okay.
Ragman is like basically this guy that they casted this. It's like there was a group that cast a spell to create a golem on a pile of rags.
Oops.
And this is basically a suit of rags that
This is
gives the
90s
wearer.
Batman?
Yeah.
Not like old Adam West
No.
Batman.
And then
Shark repellent Batman.
like,
Right.
like this had Azrael, who's like the holy. He's basically a paladin in DC Comics. He's got like a huge flaming sword and big armor and stuff. But yeah, like and it was funny because he said in previous versions of the game, everyone always wanted to be, Nightwing, Dick Grayson. He was the one character not picked in our game because everybody knew enough. They're like, oh, I want to play this random ass character.
Yeah.
Like I picked Spoiler because the girl that plays the girl who's Spoiler is Stephanie Brown, who later on ended up becoming Batgirl. And she had a comic run that started right around the time that I started reading comics. So that was one of the first ones I read. So I was like, hell yeah, I'll be Spoiler.
What is her power?
She's
Spoiled
fighting.
movies.
it's just a martial art, she's
Oh, okay. I was thinking she
I
like
was just wondering what
makes
what,
things decompose.
No, the reason
Yeah.
she was called Spoiler is because it started out she became a vigilante because her dad was
movie critic.
her dad was a criminal, and she went around spoiling all his crimes.
Oh,
Huh.
I'd be so mad.
So she
Yeah.
was like the first internet troll.
Yeah.
She's like, Dad, you're not going to prison.
So we played it like it was like a mystery thing where this thing happens and all these people are around and you have to decipher. It sucked in one sense because the mystery part and setting the clues was just really drawn out. And it was like that was like the first hour and a half, 2 hours of the game.
Yeah.
And then like the fun part, which is us going around beating up stuff, was like the last hour. And like once we got to that point, things were moving and we were, everything was great, but it just
It wasn't optimized for picking up clues.
I don't know. It was I don't know if it was that. It's just that the pacing was off.
Gotcha.
That's all. Just the DM didn't set the pace really well.
That makes sense. It was a trog.
Yeah, just right there. That just I feel like just a couple of steps were just speeding up, getting to the like maybe one more encounter, kind of in between, tying those two together. That you quickly get to that and then get to the thing. So.
I found playing RPGs at Gen Con is kind of a crapshoot. Like
Yeah.
we had the really good experience with the Dresden stuff. Then we played that Titanmancy game, which the guy knew what he was doing, but the players
Guy
So-
running it was
spoiled
great.
it,
Why don't
right?
you just go ahead and talk about it?
So the Titanmancy?
Yeah,
So Phil joined me in that one.
Yeah, that's
and we sat down
that
and
was Legacy, right?
that's the Legacy, yep. So that one is a generational game. We ended up really only playing one generation. Generally, each session plays kind of a generation. But the story was set up so that we were on a new colonized planet, and we had infrastructure and everything else set up, and then a Godzilla-like creature was discovered, and it came through and wrecked our capability, right? So we had the basic holdings of what was remaining, but we had disconnected from all of our stuff in orbit. We had disconnected from the rest of our communication back home, and we were kind of on our own. So we play different factions. Every player plays a faction, and that faction will have a like a hero unit, right? Which is just your, hey, this is when you play as a person, this is the guy you generally play as. And then they're usually the leader or involved in a specific faction. Like, Phil, you could talk about the guy you played. I played like a He's like an old general. He was like the guy who was in charge of everything since everything fell because he led the military.
Yeah, you were the military. I was the cops.
Yep.
Basically of the thing. So I was playing some grizzled old sergeant.
Who was a cop?
Who was a cop? Yeah, I mean there were a lot of things. There were a lot of things going on in the game. I mean, I liked it. I liked playing it. It was really like my entire memory of the entire process was that dude sitting next to me.
Yeah, I know. So,
Wow.
so one thing that I really liked about it is one of the parts that you start off with is you make a map and you say, this is the area. All right, now your responsibility is to draw, okay, where in this area is your home base, right? Where in this area are the resources that you're responsible for? And everybody kind of laid it out. This story, basically, you managed to kill the Godzilla creature or whatever this epic monster was, and its body was kind of strewn out in your base. So we had to lay out the outline of the body and who was responsible for harvesting things from it and stuff like that. So, like I said, that one was an intermediate game in the fact that it's one of the games I got. I was a Kickstarter supporter on that one, right? So I wanted to learn how to play it, which is why I bought the tickets for us. The guy who was running the game was very good. Phil and I would have been perfectly fine running it. It was Phil, me, another guy who was fine, and then a guy who was waiting to get into a game happened to see that we had an open spot and essentially played the entire game like he was having a silly good time. And it drove the rest of us nuts.
Not a team player.
Because, like you were saying, he was doing things like the complete opposite of what you would.
Yeah. So we were collectively trying to rebuild our society, figuring out how we're going to get to that next step. He played the people who now worship the dinosaurs, these big, whatever the heck these things are. Yeah, the Godzillas. And so he was actively trying to get more of them to come in and destroy our base. And so the rest of us are like, dude, what are you doing?
Yeah.
It's like, I'm playing my role. And yeah, it's like, okay, well.
You're doing it, but this isn't a story
Yeah,
that's fun
yeah.
for anyone now.
Yeah.
So there's a mechanic that, like a favor mechanic, to where you say, okay, hey, do you want to help me? And if they say no, you're like, okay, well, I have 1 point of favor, so I force you to do it. And you can roll to try to avoid being forced to do it. Basically, I had all of the military resources, and I just got fed up with this guy. And you're like, okay, next we're gonna bring in this thing, and I said, okay, fine. I got a monopoly on the weapons, and I have a monopoly on the transport. Guess what? We're going somewhere else. So I started building a convoy, right? And they're like, okay, well, you're gonna have to get these resources to do the convoy, and in the meantime, this guy is trying to lure another creature into the middle of our base to worship it somehow. And we're like, okay, you guys are stupid. We're moving on.
Merchants. That's who the other guy was.
Yeah. He was fine, right?
He was cool. He was on board with the convoy.
Yeah. And so eventually the three of us were like, nope, screw it, man. You're on your own on this one. And we pieced out and we left. And the GM was like, well, that was an interesting way to approach that. So next generation, basically what would happen is that guy who was annoying the hell out of everybody would have taken a new faction, and the worshippers would have become
The bad guys.
Yeah. So it was a very interesting system. I was glad we played it because I wanted to learn how it went together. There are a lot of modules for it, and some of them are actually really cool. There's a Castlevania-based module
Nice.
that I'd really kind of like to run at some point.
You can eat meat off the ground?
So
Well, that'll be that, because it'll work in with the generational thing, because like you kill Dracula and then he keeps coming back.
Yeah. And that's how it's played, right? The whole first game is your encounter as you run up through Dracula. And then, congratulations, you've killed and banished Dracula for so many years. Now we play your descendants, right?
no.
Dracula has come back in some form or fashion, or some of his people have, right? And guess what? You gotta go through and do it again, which
Dang.
is
First you
kinda
play-
cool, right?
First you play Simon Belmont, then you play Trevor Belmont. Now you're Marcus Belmont. You just keep going.
So, getting back to the problem player, did anybody just kind of be like, seriously, why are you doing this? Like, no, did anybody confront him at all and
I
be
think
like, this is not fun?
He was really trying to play his role, and I think he was having fun himself. And he either didn't realize or didn't care that he was kind of spoiling it for everybody else. So
He thought
I don't
he
think
was-
he was doing it to be malicious.
Right. But like that's where someone should be like, I get what you're doing, but you're preventing anyone else from having any fun.
So the GM tried, right? He did.
That's all I was asking. Did anybody
He
try?
did say, no, come on, that doesn't make any sense. You really don't want to do that, right? You're just. But this guy would come up with these weird, outlandish things like, I'm going to go talk to the monster. All right, how are you going to do that? Well, I'm going to walk up to it. My guy's going to talk to it. Is that really the smartest thing you want to do, right? He lost a lot of people.
One generation gone.
He was sacrificing people from his pod of people, right, to appease the god. So we were like, oh, all right, dude, yeah, that's fine. Start removing your people from your list of stuff that you have, I guess.
Resources.
It
Yeah.
sounds like if this was actually Legacy and you would have done multiple sessions, it could have been interesting to have someone who's like a trader mechanic.
Oh, it would have
But-
certainly been interesting because on the second session, we would have kicked him out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bye. Oh, you died. Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, we just decided to stop playing.
Yeah. Hey guys, let's meet later and play this game.
Right. Right.
Did y'all play? Was that Friday when y'all played that, or was
No, that was
Saturday?
Thursday.
That was Thursday. Yeah.
Okay.
It was Thursday.
Yeah, I just realized that I went through the entire Gen Con and never played a board game.
Oh
But
no.
that's not atypical for you.
No, not really. I did a lot of RPGs, which I like, and I did painting stuff. So
Yeah.
What'd you like?
So Friday,
We did Bluebeard's Bride Thursday.
no, that was Friday. That was
Was it?
Friday night.
Yeah, it was Friday.
Am I in the wrong column?
You
Probably.
are probably in the wrong
Maybe.
column.
Maybe.
Wrong row, maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah, right.
I started off the day running L5R, as I did
Like you
for
did.
like 3 days.
You did that a couple times, right?
Yeah, like I
'Cause
just
you did
said,
it on Sunday as
3
well.
days.
3 days. Oh yeah, okay. Like you just said. Okay.
Okay.
So it was fine. I think
How'd
the
it
best.
go?
It went well. It was not, oh my god, spectacular like last year. But it
didn't
was
sit
not
down with the writer of the game?
Yeah, it wasn't also the worst game I ever ran. Although the last game that I ran of the L5R was another. I had a couple of media people that cover L5R stuff that were in my game.
Nice.
And they're going to do like write-ups, and now I'm afraid to read it because
Oh, no.
they may be talking about my GM style.
But if anything, you'll learn from it. And maybe they'll say nice things.
Probably not. I don't know.
Do you want someone else to read it first and then tell you?
No, I'm a big boy. No, the best part about that game was still when Chris, we did, they were doing a political session, and Chris decided to use his game stat to play Never Have I Ever
Oh, yeah.
to find out more information about the other people at the dinner.
Yeah, that was your practice one, though, right?
Yeah. I know, but
Smart.
still.
Oh, yeah, that was a fluke.
Yeah. That was probably the most fun that I'd had playing L5R so far. And you guys know I'm not a huge fan. of
Right.
it.
So that was okay. So I was talking just to give you guys time to remember what you played. Doing it. All right. We
Oh.
can talk
We did
about.
Bluebeard's
Well,
Bride.
yeah,
What
you
did-
guys did Bluebeard's Bride. I'm just looking at the schedule.
What
So
did you do?
I did a D&D 5e homebrew.
Nice.
That this guy it was
This was the Shakespeare thing.
This is a Shakespeare thing. It was called Wordplay, and this guy had been running. This was either the third or fourth episode, you could probably call it. He was doing a new one every Gen Con.
Cool.
Previous year's episode, your party has just defeated Romeo and Juliet and rescued, and I say that with quotes because you were really like trying to bring him in so you could send him to prison. Mr. William Shakespeare himself.
Oh.
Yeah. You
bard.
you rescued him from Romeo and Juliet. He'd been given magic quills and decided to rewrite Hamlet with the current monarchy because they were pissing him off.
Oh.
So they were all offing themselves via the way people die in Hamlet.
Oh.
Yeah. So our mission in this episode was to track down the person who gave him the quills.
Cool.
And we had a lot of it was called Wordplay. This guy had a bunch of handouts that he was giving us. There was a lot of he gives us a crossword puzzle. No
Ooh.
clues.
Oh, interesting.
Crossword puzzle with no clues on it. It's got the numbers, it's got everything. And so then we're running around. All right, well, where are the clues? Somebody does a check on something. You find this piece of paper hiding over here.
Oh, nice.
And it's got the clues also did not have up or down,
Yeah.
across or down on them.
Oh my god.
So it was like, all right, this is number 7.
That's a
Crap,
great
number
idea.
7 does 2
This
things.
rocks.
Damn it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's a great
How many
idea.
words were there?
That's kind
I don't remember. I want to say less than 20.
Okay.
Yeah, I think
I
there
was
was
looking
yeah.
for good puzzles to add to.
I love puzzles.
That's there was a. We went to a Battle of the Bards.
Ooh.
Yeah, that
Did
was.
you guys have to sing?
We had to kind of do poetry a
Top.
little bit.
Oh, okay.
There turns out that the bad guy was allergic. That's the wrong word, but it's the only one that kind of fits at the moment. If someone has a better one, chime in. He was allergic to Shakespearean insults.
nice.
Yeah, he wrote a letter to Shakespeare saying that he was listening to one of the plays, and some of the insults really cut me to my core, and I was disabled for 2 weeks.
Oh, no.
Afterward, it's like, okay, so we had to. The way we finally killed him was after
Insulting him?
You had to insult him with a Shakespearean insult.
What was your favorite?
I don't remember.
I think my favorite
There-
is sausage wallet.
Sausage wallet. That was very interesting. I mean, it took us a while. It took us maybe a little bit longer than we should have to start insulting him, because we're looking around and we're like, all right, yeah, this is crap. I'm just gonna shoot him. And then we just went right into combat. And the GM's like, okay, I figured we'd get there in a little bit, but all right, we're just
Okay.
gonna do it now. I figured we had a little bit longer to try to, yeah, but
It was good.
it was very good. Yeah.
Nice.
I'm kind of interested to see what happens next year.
Oh
Well,
yeah.
I
only
know.
one way to find out.
Yeah, I know. Only one way to find out.
Is it progressive?
Hope nobody
Well,
gets
you
it.
actually said-
Story continues. Yeah.
I hope so.
Yeah.
So you did Romeo and Juliet, Hamlet.
Nice.
Fun.
And we played a fantasy story.
Yeah,
sort
we
of.
did.
We played Bluebeard's Bride, which I've had this book forever
So beautiful.
and never had played. So then I decided, do we get it played? This is actually the first Powered by the Apocalypse game I've ever played.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. That game ended up being a blast, but I was definitely skeptical
When you first walked in?
No, not when we first sat down, and the guy, because we sat down, the guy has a veil on and like is not talking
I
to us
walked up
at
and was
all.
like, "Hi."
He just did not.
He just does
Did not
he just
talk.
Nice.
Dead face, does not talk, and then just like we were chatting about something, and then he just launches like, "So a long time." I'm like, "Oh my god!"
Oh, he did like a 3-minute monologue
Yeah.
to start with a veil on. So every time that he like punctuated something with a p sound,
Veil
it was
like
like
popped
poof.
out.
Yeah.
But yeah, you start the game by telling the fairy tale of Bluebeard.
Yeah.
And then you kind of introduce, you like make your bride or whatever, because each player is playing like an aspect of the bride. And this was that was actually probably one of the better GMs we've had
Yeah.
at a Gen Con.
So
I was very skeptical though, because like when he was going way over the top, they probably loved it. I
Oh,
was
yeah.
kind of like, this is a little
This
bit
is-
too. Like,
it
can
was
we
a lot.
dial it back just a little bit?
Of
He
course.
ended up after. Yes, I get it.
Yeah.
I know why.
Oh yeah.
After he did the story, then he
took
took the
the veil
veil
off.
off, and then it was like, okay, now we're getting. I'm like, okay.
I was a
now
little
we're-
skeptical for a
That's cool.
minute because this game is very the GM is adversarial. Like
Yeah.
100% they are mean. They are playing characters who are trying to traumatize and hurt you in the meanest way possible. And there's a mechanic called the flinch mechanic where
Oh,
if they
yeah.
make you flinch
Shiver and
or
fear.
shiver in fear, the GM gets to do things to you as
And
a
this
person.
isn't like your character. This is you visibly. Like
Yeah.
if I describe something to you and I show you react or you react to my description, it affects you in game.
I can't imagine you not reacting to
That
things.
was it.
Right? I was gonna say, like,
that was the problem.
That was the problem.
Fortunately, the mechanic only comes into effect if you're like the active player.
Yeah.
Right.
So there would be a lot of times where you would react and
And he'd be like, I wish you were playing right now.
So there's like a ring that you
That you
pass
pass.
around.
Yeah.
That's who's got in charge of the body, basically.
But so I was uncomfortable
Right.
when he started. Like he went in on Heather because Heather was the femme fatale character.
Yeah.
Anytime she spoke, he was like, "Oh, you would do it that way," or "You need to shut up," or like just
really?
mean. And I was like, "This might be too far. I might have to leave this table." But then it kind of we got into a flow, and Heather was giving it back to him, so like it was fun.
Yeah.
But
to be clear, he was doing that because the game calls for you to do that.
100%. And we all had X cards that he made. He was like, this game is not like other games. It is about
Oh, yeah.
abuse.
Before
It is
he-
mean.
Yeah, but after he went into his spiel about the story, and while he still had the veil on and being all
Extra.
yeah, very extra,
Yeah,
Yeah.
extra.
he went into a big depth, like, this is going to have this in it, this is going to have, like, mutilation, this is going to have...
Sexual abuse.
All these things. If you are not comfortable with any of these
Leave
things,
now.
please leave.
Yeah.
Also, if you feel the need to stay and then you get uncomfortable, you can either X card or leave. You could just get up and walk out, and I will not be offended.
Yeah.
Although the funniest part was when the lady, like, so they came by to get the tickets.
Oh, yeah.
And the lady, like, completely interrupted his flow, or the dude. Or,
It was a dude.
And he's just like, go away. Just like yelling.
Evidently, though, he said he got in trouble.
He got in trouble
for
for
that.
it afterwards.
Yeah.
But it was
awesome.
in his favor. Like, he's in the middle of setting this mood, and this guy's like, tickets.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
And
he
he
was
was in character too.
Yeah.
for
yeah.
him.
He stayed in character that like he basically used the veil shawl.
Veil.
Shroud?
As a shawl.
Shroud.
The
It was-
shroud.
Anytime he was in character
It was
as
a scarf, wasn't it?
yeah, it was like a gauzy material. But so if he had it over his shoulders, he was the GM, and when he took it off, he would talk to you
He
like
was
a
dude.
normal
Well,
human.
no,
being.
he was the narrator, basically.
narrator.
Groundskeeper, I think they call it.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
Good
yeah,
game.
it was the only caveat I had with that game is so you have your character sheet, and there's a mechanic where you have 5 health basically, and sometimes you can, depending on, like, flinching can cause you to suffer trauma. All these things can cause you to suffer trauma, and sometimes it can be shared. So, like, I don't want to take it all alone, so I'm spreading it around all the things. But he was like, when your trauma fills up, your sheet flips over. Don't flip it over now, and then we'll figure out what happens. And so the whole time I'm like, I want to know what's on the other side of my sheet. So,
I'm
like,
gonna take that trauma.
I was kind of taking it and, like, filling mine up a little bit on purpose, and then I flip it over, and it's me and somebody else had it happen at the same time, and basically your part of the psyche breaks away from the bride, and now you move closer to the GM, and when anybody has a roll and they fail,
you try to make them flinch more.
yeah,
right?
that's like, it's up to you to like, literally the GM turns to you and asks you to describe what happens, and you're supposed to just say the most horrible thing you can think of.
Oh, jeez.
But the problem is they rolled maybe twice
Yeah.
after that happened.
Yeah.
Because it's a very narrative game, so there was not a whole lot of rolling involved. So it was basically like I was eliminated from the game
for like an hour.
for like an
sucks.
hour. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the last hour of the game.
Yeah.
So, like, I understand that there's probably that's one of those, like, I want to read it now and find out, like, is there something that maybe didn't get played up, like maybe he wasn't following a
Yeah.
rule to the letter kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because that wasn't fun, and it was sad to see you sit there and not do.
I mean,
anything.
I still had fun, but it wasn't as fun.
But now that we know that mechanic, and now that we know, I guess,
Right.
how to play, you might be taking advantage of the proposing a truth mechanic, which was proposing a truth is how you leave a room,
Oh, true.
essentially. And if you propose a truth, then you get to heal a heart.
Depending
So-
if you do.
Oh, true.
It was depending on if you're stayed loyal to the,
Right.
the husband or if
What
you,
was the thing where I tried to run away and I had to like take a? It was. I tried to like leave the room by running, and he
You
was
can try
like,
to escape.
"That was
right?
it, escaping." And then he would suggest like a truth to me that I had to accept
Right,
or not
Yeah.
accept.
Yeah,
a difficult choice.
a
A
difficult
difficult
choice.
Yeah, that one was rough because I was like, I'm just gonna run away, and he
Right,
was
the
like, if
terrible
you
choice.
leave now, then any time that a dude like steps to you, you have to like you're gonna cower away. And I was like,
Yeah.
I can't do that.
Yep.
But it was funny because we definitely played into our roles some. Like Corey was talking about flinching, but she was also playing the mother aspect.
Yeah.
So she was like, "Oh, I need to hold on to the ring and
Take
you know,
all the trauma.
take
for
all
people.
the trauma." And the meanwhile, I'm like, "Corey, give up the dang ring!
Yeah.
Like, you just keep flinching." And I was playing the witch,
Yeah.
so
You were just constantly like, let's roll initiative. Let's go.
Let's
yeah,
kill
like
everything.
I was the one like. There was at one point this woman slapped us.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Give me the ring."
Yes.
She can't do that to us.
No. Yeah, I'm excited. I think when we play it together, because we are people who know each other and are comfortable with each other,
Right.
we'll be able to play it.
Yeah, it's one of those like he made it mysterious, which made me want to do it. But if I'd known that
Yeah.
was the case, I
Yeah.
would have drawn that out
Yeah.
a little longer.
Agreed. Good game. 10 out of 10 would do again.
Oh
Good
yeah.
game.
I honestly want to see where Heather would take this.
Oh, she's
Heather loves this.
No,
yeah,
Heather and I need to be one of us needs to be the one running the game.
Yep.
Oh, I want to see Heather run it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly,
I
Yeah.
think
I want
Jimmy,
to see how far she takes it.
we were all trying to be good guys. We need to. I feel like next time we play, we're gonna try to like out horror each other,
Yeah.
which will be interesting.
The fun part is that they talked about flinching or whatever. Never did flinch when
Nope.
my problem, if anything, is I would just start laughing anytime something would happen. I'm like, what does that say about me?
Heather.
Well, that should count because that's a defense mechanism.
That's sure.
Heather
That's
went
a
stone
reaction.
face, and
Yeah.
he was like, "You're too stone face. That's a reaction."
Yeah.
The more times I was like, was more when other people
Yeah.
was getting stuff. It wasn't so much when I was.
Sure.
You were appropriate as the witch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was more of like if he would say something, I would just grin,
Yeah.
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Smile back.
Yeah. So
I'm excited to play it.
Cool.
So
it definitely made me realize we need to do October as like what for
Spooky
our
month.
Game month.
for our personal
yes.
games.
Are you gonna do 10 candles?
Of
You
course.
can do dread.
Ready?
Of course.
So
dread 10 candles.
rolling right into that.
Yep. That night we did 10 candles.
My
That
Chris
game
and Sandy's
sounded
night
awesome.
ended with 10 candles. That GM.
He was fucking awesome.
Also, your
He-
mirror idea fucked me for mirrors for a couple days. Sorry about the bleed.
That was a good idea.
So this guy got like this dark room in the back by the train tracks in the basement of the Crown, right?
Nice.
And he said, "We're doing it here or we're not doing it," right? So he forced their hand into getting that back room. We shut that door and it was dark. It was
Nice.
nothing. And we did it at like from 8 to midnight or
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
So it was dark, and every once in a while the room would start to shake because
Oh,
the train
no.
would go by.
Yeah.
This guy, he was always moving around the table. So the thing about 10 candles is you play in the dark. There are candles that surround the table, and everybody's kind of looking into the light of the candles, which means all your peripheral vision is
So you
crap,
don't know where
right?
he was.
So I mean, you would, if you looked for him, you
Right.
could find him.
Right.
But he would walk along the walls, or walk around the walls, and he'd like put his nails on it, start scratching, and then making noises. Occasionally, he would walk up and just whisper things into your ear.
We never had like a chalkboard squeak.
He was awesome. He did a great job.
so
Gave me
great.
a lot of good ideas.
Nice.
We need a
Oh,
bigger
no.
room to play that in.
Oh yes, we do.
Ooh, excuse me.
That
Just
one,
waiting for Chris to crawl under the table and like grab your feet.
yeah. So that one was interesting because he had pre-established characters, kind of, sorta, and
Okay.
some pre-established background. We still went through the process of that you normally do in 10 Candles of making your break, your good trait, and your bad trait kind of thing, right? And you still do what you normally do with those things. Then we set everything up on the table and then just started telling this story. And it was fun. And again, I've talked about 10 Candles in the past, but if you don't know the mechanic for 10 Candles, it's a no setup game. So the GM didn't even know what the monster was going to be through this. Like,
Nice.
he had characters and stuff set up, but when you write, I've seen you, and you pass it, right? One person actually passes it to the GM and says, I've seen them. And this one was, I've seen them in the mirror. And so
Great idea.
the monster in this one was basically coming out of mirrors or anything that had a reflection, and it was pulling people into it. So we started the whole game in a Walmart bathroom, right?
bathroom.
The family bathroom.
The other I think neat thing he did with this game was the 2 times we've played it, there's always been like the darkness has been here for more than a week, less than a month.
This was like an
Okay.
hour.
10 days, right?
Yeah,
That's why
10 days,
yeah.
10 candles. Yeah, this was like, we've been stuck in this bathroom for 3 hours because the darkness happened 3 hours ago.
Yeah, we have no idea what the hell's going on. Nobody does. People just started screaming and dying, so we all ran into this bathroom. And we realized that whatever was chittering out there and grabbing people and screaming, like all the screaming eventually died down. And we had our phones, right? And it seemed like whenever we had all of our phone screens on, they would leave the door alone. but as soon as we started turning off our phone screens, they came back to the door. So we were like, all right, our batteries are getting low.
Yeah.
We need to come up with a plan, like, soon. So we eventually, another thing that I really liked is he had good relationships between the characters. I played a fallen nun, more or less, right?
I love it.
And I had my football player son who was in there. And so the lady who played my football player son and I played back and forth on what we were doing, and it was awesome, right?
Nice.
And played fully into the creepy vibe, right? Like I would start saying like Hail Mary and Our Fathers in the middle of, rocking back and forth. And it just, the whole creepy vibe was awesome.
Even the integrating my character, because it was originally a 6-player game.
Yeah.
And then I showed up and he's like, yeah, I can run this thing with like 10 or 12 people. Let's go. Let's do this.
Yeah.
And so he didn't have a pre-gen for me, but just the way he, did I play the sheriff or just deputy sheriff? I don't remember.
Deputy. Yeah.
Yeah.
You played a cop.
I played a
Again.
cop.
Again. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. And just the way everything rolled in, and Sandy and I, we had the she was like an old war veteran.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Who was currently working for the government. So it's like, oh yeah, I've had run-ins with you because you get drunk and you start spouting off about, the commies and all that kind of stuff.
Oh.
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh, it was so good. It was so good.
I
love that game so much.
Yeah, it was so good. Just the all that, because he's running around and he's like whispering stuff to people. And
Would they be story things or what?
So sometimes we would make a roll to see if we saw something or knew something or something like that, and he would come and he would tell it just to that person. Other times he would just creepily sneak up on people and just whisper, weird things in their ear. As we were going through the story, he kept handing us these little sheets of wood that had like burned insignias in them. And it was just kind of a bunch of weird nonsense. And we were like, what the hell? And this stuff was stuff that was left over, I guess, after we kind of frightened away one of the beasts in one of the reflections. And so we would pick these things up and we were like, what the hell is this stuff? And we didn't have any idea what the hell it was. And then as we progressed through the story, when we got towards the end, those symbols started to make sense, right? And it was like, oh, that's what that's for. So, yeah.
That's cool.
Even brought it around to in one of the scenes, we go in this house and some weird shit is going down in this house.
Yeah.
All right. Then progress to, we're like, what, 2 candles away from the end?
Oh, yeah.
And all of a sudden, what basically ended up is, as we are in the basement of this weird military base, all of a sudden, like, oh, you open this door and you look through it and you see shapes. And the shapes say, and he was like kind of keeping track of what we had said like 2 hours ago. He was like, these shapes are doing this thing over here. And we're like, wait a minute. That was us.
Yeah.
Holy crap. We just brought that around
Yeah.
and circled some sort of weird time warp.
Was it doppelganger?
It was-
Wait,
no,
no,
not
time warp.
doppelgangers.
So
It was
you guys
like
earlier.
we became the monster in the mirror.
Yeah.
That's
And in
pretty
the
neat.
end, that happened to some of us, right? So in the end of 10 Candles, you narrate, or you choose for the GM to narrate how you die. It's tragic horror, right? You die. You know you're going to die, and that's one of the nice things I like about the game is you can let go of it. You're not trying to win the game.
Right.
You're not trying to
Bookended.
survive. It is only about telling the story.
Yeah.
And that's fantastic for me. So that time we were going to this prepper guy friend, right? And we were trying to get supplies and stuff so that we can get farther down the road. And he was acting weird and like looking through the windows, and we're like, what's going on? And he had very silver eyes. And so he went to open the door in the back, and we heard like clawing and scratching and stuff behind him, and then something tried to shove his face through the crack in the door. So it started to peel all the skin and bone away from his face. And then when they brought it all the way around at the end, one of the guys is like, and then something grabs you from behind and pushes your head through the crack of the door. So the people on the other side of that door was us, right? So it was cool. It was very, very cool.
Sandy's in the chat room said we needed to watch a Disney movie after that game.
Oh, I love that game so much.
Disney movie and bright lights and ice
So-
cream.
Yeah.
For Spookytober, we've got Bluebird's Bride, we've got 10 Candles.
Dread.
Anyone else on the Patreon want to tell us what to play in the chat?
I also have a new space game.
Space game?
Yeah.
Is it spooky?
Like Alien, like, yeah.
Okay.
It's called Mothership.
We could do it for Space Timber.
Space Timber. It's another horror game.
Oh, okay. So
Space
spooky,
Timber.
spooky Tober.
Spooky Tober.
Space Timber.
So I got I got to look through that one. So
Nice. I'm excited. Are you the aliens?
I don't know.
Oh.
I haven't gotten the books yet.
We're gonna find out.
They
We'll find out.
it got I think it got some of the awards for the indies or something like
Nice.
that, right? But I went to their booth. The funny thing was, I walked past it the first time, and like the cover of the book has like a astronaut on it, and you can see a skull like in the reflection of his thing,
Yeah.
of his space helmet. And I was like, oh crap, I'm running off to another game, but I want to come back and look at that. And so the last day, I'm trying frantically to find this thing, right? I'm dragging Sandra all over the place trying to find where this one game thing is. I find their booth, but I don't realize it's their booth because they're sold out of all that book.
No.
Yeah. So I eventually said, well, wait, hold on. That Mothership, that sounds familiar. So I Googled it, and I was like, no, that's the book I was looking for. So I went online, and I just bought all of them.
Perfect.
Yeah.
What on books that we wanted to buy but couldn't buy? The owls and like the raccoons and the cute stuff. Do you remember what that skin was called?
Oh goodness.
Was it
It was
called-
it was basically a reskin of 5e.
Was it
right?
called Ollie and the Owlbears?
No.
Okay.
It
sorry,
was.
that just-
That's cute though. It was a reskin of like a super with all super cute art where you play
Yeah.
like an owl or a raccoon
Or a
or a
hedgehog.
hedgehog, and the hedgehogs can curl up and get +1 AC.
So that sounds like Root almost.
Yeah,
but-
it's not
Yeah.
that. I know that
Interesting.
Mike actually bought 2 of the prints for Heather a couple years ago. I think before he knew this was going to be an RPG, and so we walked past it, and he was like, "That's the art." So maybe we should do like a cute timber, and only do cute
interesting.
games.
Cute Timber.
So I'll look up the thing.
Cute Vember.
So, other game. Let's see. You did anybody do? I think Mike and Heather did the Pugmire.
They did Pugmire. I did not.
Yeah.
Yeah, they said it was fun.
Let's see. Oh, you guys did the Clone Wars game.
We did.
on
That
Sunday.
was on Sunday.
It was okay. So I think I like how we play Clone Wars,
Yeah.
or how we play Star Wars
play Star Wars.
RPG more than the way that guy did. He did have some cool ideas for lightsaber combat,
Yes.
right? And some of his approach was okay, right? But he was very, very rule lawyer centric ish, right? So he was like, "This is all the combat stuff," and so combat was all we did, and there really
Yeah.
wasn't any other role playing.
You could tell
Jimmy
he
was in that.
He
could
was
attest
much.
to it.
He was much more into like I guess the tactics of combat versus the narrative of combat. Like he didn't use advantages and threats for anything narrative. He just said any threats you get are strain, any advantages you get heal strain. And we're like, okay. And he didn't really treat triumphs and despairs as narrative either. He
Right.
basically just treated it as a super success.
Right.
Which I mean it is, but he didn't say like, oh well, it's a triumph, so you hit, but you also like disable their weapon or anything. No, he was just like, okay, that's like I don't know, 2 successes.
Yeah, an extra point of
So,
damage, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
How was it playing in the setting though? The Clone Wars.
The story was actually, I think the story was a good jump off for a nice like campaign.
Yeah, I think it would have been a good introduction to that universe from that perspective, right? It threw you kind of straight into combat, but it had hooks in there that, okay, now what do we do with the information that we learned with these people who were trying to get away and yada, yada, yada. But, yeah, he was definitely more interested in the combat part of it, so
Yeah.
we just started to say, okay, well, this is how he wants to play. We're going to
Yeah.
take all of our minion groups and stick them into one pile,
Yeah.
and then suddenly now they're superhuman, right?
Yeah. The players at the table were pretty good though.
Yeah.
So yeah, it just goes back to what Chris said, that RPGs at Gen Con are kind of a crapshoot. You can either have an amazing time or like a not so great time.
I love the
Which-
module.
Yeah.
It would be really cool if there was a site or something that allowed you to say, okay,
Like a review site.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
these GMs have played these games before, and hey, they did a really good job. Or
Yeah.
hey, they really tried to do a good job, but some of the players kind of messed it up. Or these guys didn't know the rules, right?
Right.
It would be real cool to be able to look them
Yeah.
up and say, oh, okay, they're playing a game on yada yada yada. They have awesome reviews in how they do their stuff. I want in on that game.
like a college professor review
Exactly.
board.
Yeah.
So
Same thing, but for RPG DMs.
logistically though, that's hard to do.
Oh, I can imagine it would be.
Because that's easy to game,
Yeah.
especially if you're someone that's a dirtbag, but you've got like literally not in this sense.
Wait,
but
we're dirtbags.
I know. I was thinking.
What are
more,
you saying?
I was thinking more jerks, but you have like a huge following and you get everybody to rate you highly.
We're taking back the dirtbag name. Okay?
That's why I
we're
said
making it a
jerk.
positive thing.
Yeah.
That's why I said jerk. Or also, for instance, like when you a lot of the that works for all the independents where they have their name attached to it.
Mm-hmm.
But not ever, like, especially if a game's run by a company, the company just says, we're going to run 3 games of this thing. We don't have GM specifically attached to
So
game
Totally
A,
agree.
B,
Tactically, it's hard.
I am not arguing the fact that there would be problems
Right.
in doing something like that, right? But having some kind of background and institution might say, hey, this dude's been GMing for cons for so long, right?
Yep.
It doesn't even have to be tied to Gen Con. It could just be a general, hey, rate your GM kind of thing.
Yep.
Having said that, a lot of the companies, though, usually the ones that are run by companies, like for instance, since this was an FFG game you guys are playing,
Yeah.
usually there's a captain of that room that will take feedback. Like they may either have a comment card or maybe have a contact of, hey, I have some questions about this adventure. Who can I talk to kind of thing.
So that being said, I didn't have any bad GMs. I had
Yeah.
one GM no-show, but that was it.
Ugh.
I mean,
What was that for?
That's tough. That was the Through the Breach.
Gotcha.
Okay.
That's right.
Didn't
That was your
show
first
up.
day, wasn't it?
No, that was same day that we played 10 Candles. So what was that?
That was Friday.
Friday.
I think.
Yeah.
So that kind of sucked because I ran out of one thing in order to get to that and then sat around with the other players. The cool thing was that some of the players there had played it before, so they went over the basic rules. And actually, one lady who was there with me was super nice. We went up to get our tickets refunded, right? And then she walked me over to their booth and was showing me the Malifaux books and kind of how
That's
everything's set
awesome.
up. So yeah, she was pretty awesome.
Yeah, we kind of skipped over Saturday.
Well, I was just kind of flowing because I wasn't sure
Yeah.
how many.
We just got on the topic of
Well, no, yeah.
RPGs.
Well,
And looking through, there weren't really a lot of RPGs.
yeah, there
on
wasn't
Saturday.
a lot of RPGs on Saturday.
I made
but
a ring on Saturday.
That's a
Nice.
And you said the guy let you use his steel
Yeah.
thing and
Whoa. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Blacksmith.
ring,
different
ring
steel thing.
form.
Yeah,
is that
it was
called?
funny though because after I had this class, I was seeing those guys everywhere.
Yeah?
Right? Like I was doing painting classes, and they were hammering like little talismans and stuff like that, showing another class. And then I randomly ran into them when we were going out for dinner, and it was pretty funny.
Making friends.
But yeah, so they were just like jewelry smith people before. They went around in this class and they said, "Has anybody ever done any metal work before?" I was like, "Yeah, I've done a little bit." Then they found out I was a blacksmith, and they were like, "All right, here's all your stuff. Just figure it out."
You're allowed to use the nice tools.
Yeah, that was actually pretty nice. They had aluminum mandrels
That's
for
weird.
doing the sizing of the ring, and they sucked because basically what you had to do is you had to hammer on the ring on the mandrel, and the mandrel was almost as soft as the damn ring. So every time you would miss it, you're like, there's a big ding in the mandrel, another big ding in the mandrel. So eventually he gave me his steel one, right, and his polished hammer. So I was able to make these big facets, which was
It's
kinda
nice.
fun. Yeah.
How much was that cost?
The class was like $60.
I was shaking my head at Phil. 'Cause
Yeah.
I knew.
Because Jimmy,
gave you
we've
his
known
big-
each other too long.
He gave you his big hammer.
His
Yeah,
polished hammer.
polished
It
hammer.
was his polished hammer.
It was polished
I-
before he gave it
and
to you?
I took it confidently, and I treated it with respect.
They
That's
say
right.
Captain Hammer's a hero.
He
right.
scuffed it up a bit. So anything not game-wise?
Burlesque.
Oh God.
The Dolores Umbridge burlesque made me giggle. I've never heard someone get booed so hard in such
Yeah.
a nice way.
I will never look at Bob's Burgers the same.
Oh my gosh.
That was so
Someone
weird.
did a Gene Belcher.
It was
Burlesque.
so weird.
Oh, it was so
yeah.
good. She poured ketchup and
glitter?
mustard all over herself, but it was glitter.
It was good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she walked in eating a hamburger
Yep.
in a hamburger costume.
There was a
We
lot
were
of
like,
people sexily eating.
God.
Well, there was the girl who played something
Sapphire?
from
No. Amethyst?
Amethyst.
Yeah.
Don't know what show that's from.
Steven Universe.
Sure, I'll take
She
your word
ate a
for
hot
it.
dog.
Yeah, but I guess Amethyst is supposed to be like a big sassy break the rules
Dirty,
character.
yeah.
And she did. Who does that song?
I don't remember what the song was.
Sandy says her favorite was the Titanic iceberg.
Oh my gosh.
Definitely.
Iris Explosion
She's the
is a queen.
Yeah.
She was an interesting character. Yeah.
She's the one. Has anyone here listened to Welcome to Night Vale?
Night Vale. I don't.
Mm-mm.
It's a weird podcast, and so she like essentially read some. I think never mind. It's not gonna make sense if you never heard it. It was weird. It was equally weird to being the iceberg from Titanic, and stripping.
Yeah, I mean, to each their own.
Yeah,
It was pretty great.
I had a good time. Also, Waluigi made my day.
Yeah.
I think I preferred his Venom act from last year because that was just hilarious.
Yeah.
Oh, it was Bad Reputation by Joan Jett.
Oh,
That was the name of the song.
There
nice.
you go.
Waluigi was completely made by the music, right?
Yeah.
The music that he chose for that was just.
It was the Decemberists.
Oh, was that who
Yeah.
that was?
Decemberists.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that.
What was
Yeah.
music?
I don't remember what the song was, but it was
Okay.
Decemberists.
Yeah.
Good times.
Yeah.
I had a good time.
Yeah, that
Also,
was
the fact that
interesting.
Strong Bad came out
Yep.
during Go-Go. Oh, I'll never look at Homestar Runner the same.
Homestar One Up.
Homestar Runner. Your head explode. Do you suggest? So, Phil, you coming next year?
Yeah.
Nice.
What about Chris? Is next year you're off?
I'm done.
Yeah. It was,
The burlesque was all you guys. I mean,
cool.
It was all right, but it's.
Oh,
not...
I was talking. Okay.
Oh, Gen Con in general.
Oh, you meant
Yeah.
Gen Con in
Yeah.
general. So yeah, I would love to return next year, but Sander will tell me that I'm not allowed to. So we'll see. She's gonna try to do the Penzic thing again.
Well, you tell her to go do that, and you'll just come to Gen
I
Con.
might have to.
Yeah.
Because Penzic's boring as hell.
Penzic also hurts you.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah, let's have fun by spending 2 weeks in the sun in the middle of Pennsylvania in
No air
100-degree heat.
Yeah.
No, screw that crap. Give me a guided air-conditioned walkway to a convention center.
Yeah.
Couldn't they do it like maybe in the fall? Or...
You would think, but then they'd have all sorts of problems with people and kids and
Yeah.
stuff.
Oh, school. Yeah.
Cool.
Summers. Well, that's fine. You just need to have it up more north.
Considering the whole event's getting taken over more by people who just want to get drunk down
and-
by the
That's what it
Yeah.
seemed like.
Right.
Yeah.
Apparently, it was real weird this
Are
year.
they in
There's a
vans?
Bacchanalia.
No vans.
So, any big lessons learned this year?
Bigger budget.
It's not bad
couldn't buy all the
to.
games.
It's not necessarily bad to just keep like one day completely free of events.
I
'Cause
feel like
ended
we
up-
say that every year, though.
Well, we usually say like don't book it all up or don't. But I'm saying like keep a whole day.
Oh.
Like
If you want to go to the Board Game Geek
Board Game
room,
Library.
buy or the Hot Games room,
buy
buy
specific
tickets to it
for
because you're not going to get them with generics, which is disappointing.
Although you could play in the library.
The library didn't have a lot of the newer games.
I think that's
That's generally
On
to be
purpose,
expected.
though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
or not on purpose, but I think that's just because they haven't had the time to get
Yeah.
them.
We did find
Chris is-
Coimbra there.
We did
though.
find Coimbra.
Chris is being called out by his wife
Yeah.
in the chat there.
She says Penzic's not boring and you're a wussy.
Yeah. Penzic is boring, and I am a wussy.
I will accept that.
Yeah. In the middle.
I ran a bunch of stuff for FFG mainly so I could get the parking.
Mm-hmm.
Next year, I'm wondering if I don't, because I'm starting to I was looking. I don't want to add more stuff,
Yeah.
but I wanted to play more with people I know. Like I think I want to do more like what we did with Bluebeards, and you guys were all doing that with each other throughout. But Bluebeards was like the only game I really played with anybody.
And it's fun to play with people you know, because then you know that your group's not going to suck.
I've been saying that for
You
years,
have.
and
You
every
really
year
have.
you're like, it's so hard to get everybody together.
This year we'll do
I'm
it.
not saying we need to get everybody, but I just need to get in some games with people.
Oh yeah.
I agree. I want to play 10
kicked you,
Candles with
sorry.
your guy. Can you reach across this table? How long are
maybe.
your feet?
Pretty long.
Oh, now.
Oh my god! I don't think I reach halfway.
Yeah.
Sorry, everyone
was-
listening.
well,
So,
I mean-
so
That's
I
where it
think
changed.
every year now that I go, I'm doing the 10 Candles game.
Yeah, I want to
I'm
That-
sold
to
on
go
that.
to
pretty
your
awesome.
guy. Yeah.
The well,
Who's
I
your
was
10 Candles guy? Can I get in on this?
right. We gotta look
Yeah,
at
right.
that. I agree with Jimmy. And so Sunday I had nothing booked up, but I went to a total of 4 ticketed events. So I averaged an event a day,
Yeah.
and everything else was just walking around, looking at stuff.
I will say some of the
Ran straight for the sword booth first
some
day.
of our best time in the dealer hall was like the last couple hours.
Yeah.
because we were able to sit in on a bunch of demos, actually.
Yeah, somehow the first couple days, the demo, I guess it's just everyone was trying to get demos, but we could not get sat down to play a demo.
Yeah.
And then the last 2 hours, we played like 4.
Played Decrypto.
Decrypto was great.
And other games.
We finally got to play the Echidna Shuffle.
The Echidna Shuffle, yeah.
Which is made for children, but like I think it will be very fun.
Yeah, there was. I think like I spent a lot of time on the floor, but I think I should have spent that time more wisely. Like I was doing a lot of roaming.
Yeah.
And I probably should just do like I think day 1, just like zip up and down to see everything.
Thorough comb.
And then actually go and sit down. Like I was just in a mood where I was just like walking around. And instead of just sitting down and actually playing games.
I think my lesson learned for at least in that part of it is to play games with people. Don't walk the floor with people. It would drive me nuts walking the floor and be like, no, I'm going to go look at this. God damn it, I'm trying to go over there, right?
Yep.
And so, Sandra
We're going
was
over
like,
to- we're going
pretty
over-
thing. Ooh, pretty thing. Ooh, Sandra, I have 15 minutes before I got to go to my next game. Ooh, pretty thing, right?
We're going over to this booth
In
over
Sandy's
here, and
defense,
then y'all walk
there
away.
were a lot of very
There
high
were a lot of
rocks.
very pretty things, right?
Yeah.
It's no, I agree. It's hard to walk with people,
Yeah.
and then you end up getting like clogged in the alleyways, and you feel bad.
Yeah, it would probably be better if I didn't have so much on the plate, right? I had a lot of things going on.
You did a lot of art.
Painting stuff, yeah. But I was always running off to something, right?
Yeah.
If I had a full day to where it was just dedicated to the hall room, right, and I was just going to walk around, it would be less irritating to walk around with people and get diverted all the time.
Right.
Another thing, for dinners, make reservations.
Yeah.
Make reservations.
Make reservations.
if you want to get your entire, so we were 9 people.
Yeah.
We were 9 people, and we're like, all right, yeah, we should get a reservation, or we should go to dinner. Let's go to dinner. It's our last night, and da. So we were just like, all right, yeah, let's go here. It's going to be an hour wait. Let's go here. It's going to be an hour wait. Let's go here. So we've been walking around for like 45 minutes at this point, and we have an event in an hour.
That first day was just hard because we wanted to eat before the burlesque. I think now we all agree that
To be fair, I said that from the get-go.
You
he did.
I was sitting the whole time. I was like, "Why are we moving? It's
right.
going to be like this everywhere we go."
That
Right,
being
you
said,
win.
Because moving feels like progress.
Yep.
It does.
That's right, it does.
And I think I said that if we had just stayed at the first place,
We would've
you
been
probably
sitting.
would have sat and eaten.
So we
No,
were getting
absolutely.
closer to the place where we had to be.
Sure.
We were. Finally, I just
Also,
broke
that-
off from the party because I apped in an order to Steak and Shake.
and that
You ate
jackfruit.
so many times at Steak and Shake.
Somehow the one place that had vegetarian options was the like fish and chips cart.
Yeah, the fish and chips.
I was
British
not
place.
expecting that.
Yeah.
And it was delicious.
Yeah.
How were your fish? The fish was not great, right? No, that's disappointing.
I don't know if I'm going to do evening games anymore.
I want to do that midnight.
Like late
game.
evening.
I want
Like no,
The 10
like
candles?
the early evening. Like we did
Gotcha.
the 6 to 10
Uh-huh.
because it was like right in the middle of like the happy hour, so I couldn't take
Yeah.
advantage of that. Like because I had 2 games. The first game I had was 6 to 10, and then the second the Bluebeards game we had was the next night 6 to 10, and it's
So you
just
didn't get an after like an evening.
yeah. Well, it's just hard planning dinner.
Yeah.
Because you want to walk the floor as much as you can, and then it's like, oh, now I got to go to this thing.
We
And do I
also-
wait
yeah.
and just eat dinner afterwards? But then it might be really late.
We never got to use the jacuzzi.
the what?
The jacuzzi.
Jacuzzi.
Oh, they didn't
there
have a
wasn't.
They didn't
jacuzzi.
have
No,
one.
it wasn't.
Yeah.
It wasn't. Yeah, we looked
But
in there.
none of the hotels we've stayed in have we ever used the jacuzzi, and I feel like sometime
We didn't
we gotta
use
make
Well,
that
it's
work.
because there's also going to be like
There's gonna be randos in
400
there.
other people trying to use it at the same time.
I'm gonna kick them out.
We could have easily.
And those
done
things
with a
only-
little pool in there.
That's why you just go in and turn the
The heat all
you
the
turn
way
the
up.
heat all the way up and you get some vegetables and just simmer. I mean, stay a while. Sandy's saying we should have used open table.
Nah, maybe. I mean,
Next
depending
time.
on what's available there. So lessons learned for next time, right? We should
All
just
right.
plan that out better.
Anybody got any other notes?
Go
before
to
we
the
shut this
zoo.
down?
The butterfly garden is.
I am not going to
beautiful.
waste time at Gen Con going to a zoo.
This was after
Pretty
Gen
nice
Con.
zoo.
Well, so we'll have to everyone extend your vacation by another day, and
Yeah.
then we'll leave
Go
on
to the zoo.
Tuesday.
Well, we left on Monday.
We're
just-
getting to the
Had
point
a late
though
flight?
that like, because I know like Heather was talking about bringing in some people. We're just going to need to rent a house. Like
it's
Airbnb a
possible.
house.
Then
We're
you're
gonna
gonna
need
have to- you're gonna
a
have
floor
to-
of a hotel.
That
you're gonna have
depends
to
how
Uber
far
every
in.
day.
Yeah, that's
Well, it depends on where the house is.
All depends on where the house is. We're gonna need how big is the penthouse at the end of this? And how quickly do you accrue points?
Is
That's
there a
the-
jacuzzi in the penthouse?
not quick enough to do that often.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yep.
Any more tips? Top tips? No.
Go to Gen Con. That's my tip. It's funny because, like, as I'm talking with other people and talking, it's weird because a lot of people that talk about Gen Con, they'd be like, oh, it's so busy. There's so many people. It's so hard to get hotels. While these are all true, they're like, oh, I'll just go to other cons. And I feel like that's the case for board games, but I feel like we'll always go to Gen Con versus going to like Origins or something else because
The RPGs are plentiful.
there's the RPGs are plentiful, but you get a lot of more of those unique things, like the spins on things, the weird, unique settings, and just the fact that there's a variety of things, like the sheer just number of things between like the crafting and then the painting, the RPGs, and the board games. That there's just kind of something for everyone.
Yeah.
And you may get some of that at something like Origins or PAX Unplugged or something, but it's not the same.
So here's a question for everybody: what was the favorite one or two things that you picked up at Gen Con?
We got Welcome To, which is it's sort of like a roll and write, but it's a deck of cards and write.
I like that you
flip
can
and
have
right.
like 50 people play at one time.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Because we also, like, a lot of the time have 10, 12 people at our game nights.
Is that the neighborhood one that you guys were playing that one night? Okay.
I saw a group of like 25 people play that game once.
Nice.
Yep.
And literally it was just like somebody standing on a table like holding up the cards.
These are the cards.
That would you would need
That was like when it was
Projector.
releasing.
Like an overhead projector?
You need the old school classroom overhead projector and just
Nice.
there we go. That's what your cards are.
Chris,
I'm trying to think.
you came home with a lot of stuff.
I did, but I didn't buy a lot of stuff.
Okay, well, I mean, I can count demos if you
I know,
want.
but I'm
What
just,
did you bring home?
But see, I brought home a lot of stuff that I haven't played.
Yeah.
That's the
Well, what are you most excited about, though?
I am most excited probably to play that Funkoverse
Yeah.
board game where you
Okay.
play with the pop
You got a
figures.
lot of Funkos.
Yeah, but you can't play with those because they're
Oh, you got to get
smaller
more Funkos?
No, they come with
Smaller Funkos.
Yeah.
So you just make like a stadium of Funkos to watch you while you play.
Yes.
There you go.
Nice.
Bill?
Sword.
So
Sword.
yeah. So 3 things that I'm really excited that I got. I got my sword. I've been saying it every friggin' year. My sword. I finally went and bought the damn sword. All right, gotcha. Dark Master sword. Gonna look really nice. I'm gonna find something nice to mount that up on a wall.
Just mounted in your enemy.
That one too. Here, can you hold this for me? There you go.
I got dark.
Don't do that at me.
So there's an artist that my sister, she worked when she worked at Hobby Lobby down in South Carolina. He worked with her as well. And as I'm running through the art section, I was like, crap, what's that guy? I can't text my sister because she's gonna be like, Philip, you text me every damn year.
And
about
what's
this
his
dude's
name?
What's his name? All right, gotcha. So finally, I broke down like, hey, what's that guy's name? Gave me the art. And she was like, oh, yeah, Mark Poole, booth 48. She already knew.
Yep. Aw.
That's awesome.
She was like, he's going to ask me. I'll Google it.
Probably. So I ran up and just said my sister's name. And he was like, holy crap, I work with her. I'm like, yeah, I'm her brother. How's it going? Yeah. So I picked up another
awesome.
art print from him.
Which one's this one?
It's, can you grab it, Chris?
It's not
Hey,
like
brother.
the Liberty Bell being struck by
No,
lightning and a
it's not
dragon.
fighting a dragon. So this is our party.
Oh.
Aw.
If you look around, we're all sitting there, we're all playing dice, and then,
Am
the
I the
giant
sad hobbit?
ogre barbarian is going to destroy us with a D20.
Nice.
So we show that to the camera. Yeah.
It's on fire.
That is our party.
I love that it's a crit.
Yeah.
Am I the D20?
What's that? You might be the D20, I don't
No,
know.
you're the ogre.
Oh, okay. I believe it.
And I want to say my most prized purchase is the Shakespeare Insult Generator book.
Nice.
We made a book for that.
That is going to be amazing.
That's awesome.
And somehow a cat got down here.
Oops.
Oh, cat.
Yeah, it's the pages are, it's broken into 3 sections. like a adjective, noun, and I was just walking around. All right, let's wiggle it and flip it open. What do we got? Bam, bam, bam.
Yeah.
Just looking at what do we? Bam, bam, bam. It was. That's gonna be fun.
Were you
just
both
to pull out for
welcome
like.
to?
Well, we picked up Parks as well, which is a game about walking through national parks, and it's a bunch of pretty pictures because they
Beautiful.
partnered with an art project called 59 Parks, which sells posters that depict all the national parks, and part of the proceeds go to national parks.
I think my favorite part about the game is that it literally takes like 2 minutes to explain the rules. It is so simple.
I'm sensing a thing with parks, though.
What do you mean?
Never mind. You just kept saying parks.
Parks.
Oh, got it.
Yeah.
Walking through the parks.
What about Chris?
Yeah, so I went to the indie booth. I love going to the indie booth over there for the RPGs. I got a copy of Never Going Home, which is a World War One Cthulhu game. So basically, the story, from what I can tell so far, is that World War I was so bloody that it gained the attention of the dark gods, and they started to emerge. And so you work your way through this, through whatever story it is, and you get corrupted as you go. And you use that corruption to gain powers, you use that corruption to do other stuff. But eventually you become so corrupted that you basically just walk off, and then you make another character, right? So that one I was super excited about. And then I found out that Shadows of Esteren Dirge was out.
Oh yeah.
Dirge is the new, I guess, campaign book that they have. So that might give me a starting point to actually play a Shadows of Esteren game.
Yeah.
Outside of Gen Con, because it's the only place I played it.
Yeah.
That's how I am with L5R, because it's like, that's why I run it every year, so I can play it.
Yeah.
So that's the one downside. Like, if I don't run it next year, then it'll be even longer since I play it.
Or you could just sign up to play a game.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
True.
Then you'd just be a player.
True.
Yeah, right.
You might pay $4, but then you get to play it.
Those games sell out so fast, though.
L5R, really? Okay.
I didn't have a game that had a seat open.
It also depends on when you get in. I think next time what we really need to do is get everybody's tickets on everybody's account.
The
And
problem
then
is
hit boom.
it won't buy tickets if you already have a thing for that slot. So,
It
So,
won't buy
like that
tickets.
time
So
slot.
if you're both wanting a game
Yeah.
at the same time, you can't buy tickets for both.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can. You can buy one with my name and one with his name.
No, we're saying like if they're two different events. If you already have something booked for that time slot, because
I
it
see
does
what
it
you
in
mean.
order of priority.
Meaning if you and I are playing the same game but at different times.
Well, no. If
No.
you're playing a game at 10 o'clock, he's playing a game at 10 o'clock, and you want to purchase a ticket for him for your game, the system will not let you because he already has something booked for 10 o'clock.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So that's a good idea.
Yeah.
But
It's not to stop you from doing what you did and like get another ticket for myself.
Yeah.
That was the option.
Yeah.
How we got in the Titan match. Yeah.
yeah.
And actually, that might not be a bad way to go with it anyway, because you
Yeah.
can just hand the tickets out at that point.
Yep.
And
So,
you can
and you
use-
could always return them.
Yeah.
Yep.
The game that was cute that I was talking about earlier, Humblewood. Is its name.
Humblewood.
All right.
Very cute.
Anything else
Two things I like.
before we shut this thing down?
Humility and wood.
We can shut it down. Look at
All
this
right.
owl. How
Thanks,
does it make you
everybody.
feel?
Tune in. We
Mike was showing me,
will
yeah.
probably be starting back up on content after this. We'll start playing running the episodes of Corey's Genesis game.
That was a cluster, but it was fun.
And then in 2 weeks, we'll be back with an actual live recording. That'll be the second part of the Ravnica game.
What's up, Bear
Oh,
Grylls?
yeah, Bear Grylls.
And then we need to figure out what's after that.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
All right.
Ready?
Bye.
Count of 3. Bye.
Bye.
Hey, when did you get that power?
It worked apparently.
Apparently.